This program is rated PG. It contains themes and scenes which may not be suitable for very young audiences. Parental guidance is advised.
Be advised that the views and opinions of the hosts and guests do not reflect those of the station.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Global Village. I'm Buddy Kunanan. And you know, folks, on this show, we take you around the world, you visit amazing places, you meet interesting people. We also talk about topics and issues that impact the global community. And one of the things we like to do on Global Village is we like to follow the topics closely of global warming and climate change. And so naturally, on this show, we're also very strong advocates and supporters of renewable energy, in particular, solar power. And so tonight is all about solar power, and we're going to talk about how we can make solar power work for us. And joining me on the show is a man who is the sales director of a company called Solaren Renewable Energy Solutions, and this is one of the leading companies involved in solar power in the Philippines, and apparently number one also on Facebook. So, Chris, welcome to Global Village. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Buddy, thank you. Good to be here.
Yeah, and as I mentioned in my opening spiel, this is a show that we like to do on Global Village, and we like to do this every now and then because there's so many things happening in the industry. And
Right.
so, you know, just to keep abreast of all the developments and all the technological advances that are happening in solar power, and exciting times for the solar power industry here in the Philippines, which we'll talk about tonight. Now, let's talk about you first, Chris.
Sure.
Who is Chris Hutchings, and what brought you to the Philippines?
British guy. I left the UK quite some time ago. Whilst I was working in the insurance industry, they moved me to Dubai initially and then in Hong Kong, where I was working in financial services. Met and married a lady from the Philippines whilst I was there, and that kind of led me down here. So was looking at businesses here that would be of interest. I still am based in Hong Kong, but I'm traveling backwards and forwards.
What got you into solar power?
Well, quite simply, in the same way that I bought a house here, whatever it was, 14 years ago, whilst I was living in Hong Kong. But myself and my partner, Neil Pierce, who's the one that actually founded SolarN, were looking for businesses to do here that would make sense here. And that kind of led us towards solar power because we're both fed up paying too much for our electricity. Dreaded the time we were going to get our electric bill every month. So started thinking about solar power for ourselves. And when we did our initial sort of research and we got some quotes, just took a step back and went, hang on a second. You know, these things are paying for themselves in about 5 years. Now, as an investment advisor, I'm spending my life trying to make 10% a year for people, and yet here we're looking at an investment that will yield 20% a year. We think that's a good investment. So that led us to think about it. Well, maybe there's a business here.
Very good.
There is.
Very good. How big is the company currently?
We're not a big company. We have permanent staff of, I don't know, roughly 10 to 15 people, because a lot of what we do is project-led. So when we have a project, it's very easy for us to take on day labor to complete our numbers. The important people are, we have a general manager, an office manager, obviously someone who runs the office, 2 professional electrical engineers, 2 electricians, a couple of guys that are good for welding, some building specialists, and then there's poor old me that's resigned to just doing the sales.
Okay, and you guys started the company 4 years ago. It's 4 years old.
It's 4 years now.
How has business been since then?
It was a slow start. You know, you have to build a reputation. But in recent times, particularly the last 12 to 18 months, it's really started to take off, actually.
Which is a good sign. It means that the industry is developing and maybe awareness is also picking up for the benefits of solar power, and that perhaps solar power is becoming more accessible now to many people.
I think that's true. Prices have come down. I mean, 4 years ago, compared to today, you're looking about at least a 40 or 50% reduction in the price of
That's huge.
just the solar modules.
Yeah.
The peripherals have not come down quite so much, but the modules themselves are still quite a big element of the overall cost. So overall prices have come down 20, 30% maybe from where they were 4 years ago.
Why have prices come down? Is it because of the China factor? Because a lot of of these components are now manufactured less expensively in China?
China's been driving the prices down. If you ask Mr. Trump, he would tell you that that's the only reason. But that's part of the reason. I mean, obviously, they've built very large facilities. The government there is a big adopter of renewable energy. So they're supporting the manufacturers of the equipment in China.
Yes.
Which means that they're not only enjoying cheaper labor costs and cheaper production costs, but they're also most likely enjoying subsidies from the government, which means it's making their product prices come down, which is, given the rest of the industry a bit of a problem, but they're trying to keep up and keep their prices competitive.
Yes, pretty admirable actually, and I'm glad you mentioned that, how the Chinese government has really come out to support renewables, in particular solar, because I think China now has taken the pole position in terms of the support it gives to the private sector, in terms of developing really and promoting the use of solar power. I think they're seeing that this is the future.
Yeah, I think that's right. You can argue whether or not it's producing a better product, but it's certainly producing price competition and a greater awareness.
Yes, and even from the R&D point of view, the more people you get into this, the more ideas perhaps, and more exchange of ideas, and more perhaps more innovations can come about, because of, more people getting into this, more companies making investments in this technology.
Yeah. Again, most of the investment comes from the manufacturers themselves. There is a grading, if you like, of solar module producers, and you can be tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. Part of the requirement to be recognized as a tier 1 solar module manufacturer is the amount of money that you spend on R&D. We would never look at anywhere outside of tier 1 module producers. They come with a certain peace of mind in terms of, what quality you can
Definitely. And we'll talk about the quality issues and why that's so important in a bit. But let's talk about your company first. A lot of solar companies out in the Philippines, a lot of interest in solar power, both from commercial and private users. What makes your company different from those currently in the market? Because you guys are apparently really turning heads in the market. You guys are number one in terms of the in hits on Facebook of local solar companies, and I gotta say, bravo, very well done. And it points to something. It points to some good work that you guys are doing.
Yeah, I think when Neil and I were interested in becoming involved, there was the issue of, okay, so there's an opportunity here. How do you differentiate yourself? Our desire to be involved led us to conduct our research into the market, not only here, but basically we were going to put these things on our own homes. So it was a question of, if this was my house, what would I do? And that led us down a certain path. And that path led us to the doors of Germany, as it happens. Now, the reason being, it is purely quality. The company that we partner with for our modules is a company called SolarWorld. They've been making solar panels for more than 40 years now. In fact, they actually have panels that are in Palawan today that they made 40 years ago that are still working even today.
Yes. Wow.
So it's a testament to their durability, reliability, efficiency, and so forth. So, and what we saw in the marketplace here was that there was a very distinct emphasis on price. And we weren't quite sure that was necessarily the best measure of the value of a solar system.
Yes.
Because if you're only buying on price, you open yourselves up to potential challenges down the line. I mean, this is a piece of capital equipment if you're a business. Which is going to be tested over time, and should have an expected lifespan of 25, 30 years. Now, if you're going to cut a few pennies off your acquisition cost at the expense of losing 10 years worth of energy production, we just don't think that's economically a sensible decision.
Yes. This whole thing about the price factor in the solar power business, and I'm sure the viewers can relate. There's so many advertisements now on the internet, on social media, even in the newspapers about, hey, we can offer you solar solutions, cut your power by 30%, your bill 30, 40%, it only costs this much. And obviously, you get what you pay for, as you said.
Right.
In something like this, it's very hardware dependent. You got to go for quality. How do you sell that to consumers? Because it's also not an entry level product, so to speak. It's a high end product. Yeah.
I mean it is. But if you wanted to, I don't like just to concentrate on China versus Germany or something like that, because that's not really the issue. The issue as a consumer is it going to do what it says on the box? Now, what it says on the box is it's going to last 20 to 25 years. Now, people will readily accept the fact that if they buy something from Germany, they're buying a reputation for
absolutely
efficiency and quality production. Now, so we hang our proposal on the fact that, look, if you buy a German solar system from us, you can be pretty sure that it is actually going to still be operating when it says it's still going to be operating. Now, I'm not saying that other systems won't. I'm just saying that in terms of, if you wanted to take a bet, then you would bet on the German equipment still being working 25 years from now.
Sure, sure. And is that the lifespan of solar panels being of the modern solar cells, so solar panels? Is it 25, 30 years? They really are built to design. They're really built to last for
well,
almost 3 decades.
I mean, imagine if there's a solar panel that's working 40 years after it was made 40 years ago, and the technology has improved since then there's no reason why current solar panels shouldn't last at least that long, if not longer.
Yes.
Our modules, the ones we use, have a 20-year factory guarantee and a 25 or 30-year, depending upon the model,
Yes.
performance warranty. So they're guaranteed to produce at least 90% of what it says on the nameplate for 25 years.
What about the other components in the system that your company is marketing?
Right.
The cells are from Germany.
Yep.
How about the other components down the line?
Okay, so with a solar system, you're looking at modules, an inverter. An inverter is what converts DC power to AC power that you can actually use. Then you've got all the wire. There's a lot of wire involved because every single one has to be wired individually and in series. And then you've got to attach it to the roof. So you have your mountings and nuts and bolts for that. And we get everything from Germany, all of that.
Wow.
So our inverters are from a company called SMA, who industry-wide are recognized as the best in terms of inverter technology. So most people actually are using them. I would say 60% of the market are actually using them already. So we're not that different, I suppose, but that's who we choose. Our wire comes from Switzerland. It's a company called Leoni. Our rails and nuts and bolts also come from Germany or England or India. India, interestingly, have very good steel.
How important are the nuts and bolts? I can understand the wires and the inverter and the cells, but how important that those bolts really come from Europe, from the UK, from Germany, or even India?
Well, let me put it this way. When we do an installation on a metal roof, the Yarrow, we take out the tech screw, we drill down into the C-purlin, and we bolt the whole system with the rails and everything else into the C-purlin. So you can see it's very, very strong. I'm told there's some typhoons here in the Philippines, is that right?
No kidding.
So,
I heard, yes.
So, this is a country with climate extremes. So you've got extreme heat, you've got extreme wet, you've got extreme winds.
Yes.
So something that's securing it safely to the roof,
Definitely.
I think is one of the most important elements. Now, I know you can go to your local hardware store and buy stainless steel nuts and bolts, but can you really vouch for whether or not the type of steel that's used is actually stainless? I mean, we've seen bolts on roofs that have rusted within 3 months, let alone 3 years or even 30 years. So
Yes.
yeah, it is important. It is important.
And you're making a big investment, so you want to protect your investment, make sure you get the best stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like buying a German car or one manufactured in China. So I mean, to just
Well,
make a
I'm
simple
glad you
analogy.
I'm glad you said that. I didn't say China.
It came from me. Okay. No, because I've got a German car and it's 35 years old,
Right.
and it's still ticking like a very well-tuned clock
Yeah.
till today.
Yeah.
So there you go, German technology. Chris, we've got to pause for a break. When we come back, we'll talk about where we are really today in the solar industry and why today or present would be an ideal time to start making an investment or considering making an investment in solar technology for our homes, for our businesses, for our communities.
Sure.
So guys, more of Let's Talk Solar Power with Chris Hutchings when Global Village.
Sobrang taas na ba ang konsumo ninyo sa kuryente? Nasusulit nyo ba ang inyong monthly consumption? Napapanahon na upang kilalanin at subukan mo na rin ang pangalan at produktong pinagkakatiwalaan sa industriya sa loob ng mahigit na 4 na dekada. Solar World. Solar World is a German company that mastered renewable solar energy and technology development and continuously maintained its standard throughout the years. No wonder the brand Solar World stands for quality. Solar World is built to last. Reliable. More power. Learn more about Solar World now. For inquiries, purchase, and installation, visit our authorized Solar World distributor, Solar and Renewable Energy Solutions Corporation at 127 Santa Rosa Road, Karamutan, La Paz, Tarlac. Call us now at 045-606-1183 and 0917-879-6037 or check our website at www.solaranpower.com.
Maasahang tibay, lakas na walang humpay.
Welcome back to Global Village. I'm Buddy Cunanan. Tonight's topic is Let's Talk Solar Power. And joining me still is Chris Hutchings, Sales Director for Solar and Renewable Energy Solutions. Chris, welcome back to the second segment. Nice video. And let me first ask, what is Solar Wind?
Sorry?
Solar Wind.
Solar World.
Solar World, yeah, the company.
So Solar World are a module manufacturer,
Yeah.
a German company. As I say, they've been making modules now for, I'm sorry, people will get confused. I should use either panels or modules. But they're the same thing. For more than 40 years. We, in fact, SolarN are the only authorized distributor of Solar World products here in the Philippines. And as I say, they're German. They have 2 factories in Germany. They also have now a sister company in the US. And they manufacture, I think, some modules in Thailand.
Okay.
But we only ever use the ones that are made in Germany.
Okay, wow.
They allow us to do that. That's our decision. It remains consistent to our core message to our clients.
Very good. Very good. That's a nice consistency.
Yeah.
Because when people look at your company and they know German tech, I mean, okay, I'm quite sure that the panels they make in Thailand are of the same quality that they are in Germany. But it's a consumer thing. It's psychology. As a consumer, I would want the panels made in Germany.
Yeah.
Very good move. And just to show that video was very interesting because it shows the durability of these modern solar panels. I mean, amazing. You can jump on them. You can drive a pickup truck over them, and they don't break.
They are. They're incredibly strong. I mean, Solar World modules in every test measurement are engineered to 3 times European standards. So a lot of companies are just doing whatever they can to try and meet European standards. That's how, if you like, over-engineered they are. I tell you,
that's very German, over-engineering.
Yeah. but I tell you, funnily, we were in a meeting. We were doing a proposal to one of the big colleges in up north. So we were sitting around the table, on the conference table. We had a look around and we chose the biggest guy in the room that we could find. And we took him outside. We put the solar panel on the floor. We said, "Right, on you get." So he gets on the solar panel. Rather sheepishly, I have to tell you.
Of
he
course.
was a little bit.
Yeah.
So we said, no, come on, start jumping. So he starts jumping up and down on this Solar World solar panel, and all the others are going, "Wow!" Like this. So then we said, "Okay," and we got 3 more guys, and they all got on the panel. At which point, we were kind of thinking, "Is it going to be okay?" But yeah, in the end, we have 5 guys standing on just one.
Wow.
Solar module.
Wow.
It's 1 meter by 1.7 meters. That's how strong they are.
Yeah, I can understand the initial apprehension because these things look delicate. They look kind of fragile, but so it's shocking when you see it undergo so much punishment.
Right.
Amazing.
I wouldn't recommend it for all solar panels. but certainly ours. I mean, that's
Bravo. And this
what they
is
do.
and this is a product that you put on top of homes, on top of factories and commercial
Yep.
establishments. Bravo. Okay.
Yep.
Let's talk about solar in the Philippines. How practical is it? Let's talk about first residential use, because a lot of viewers
Right.
are people who have their own homes, and they're obviously viewing solar as a way to reduce energy cost
Yep.
and all that. How practical is it today to have one of these things, these systems in place in one's home?
It's very easy. They are simple to install. They're simple to integrate. The beauty is, once it is installed, there's virtually no maintenance. There's nothing you really have to do. Even the glass on the front of the module is specially coated so that when it rains, all the dust and the dirt and everything else is washed off.
Yeah.
So they're pretty much self-cleaning as well. In the dry season, it's good to go and sprinkle them with a hose if you have the opportunity, but not essential. You get a slight reduction in power. But after that, really, it looks after itself. With our use of the inverters, by the way, it comes with live reporting. So the inverter is linked to the internet.
Yeah.
It then sends all the data live streaming to a central server in Germany. And then that central server is available to us and it's available to the client. So they can go on their cell phone and they can actually today, right now, at this minute, see exactly how much power is being generated.
Amazing. Amazing.
But the other benefit being is if there's a problem, it sends us a message. So we get a message, we can get one of our technical guys on the phone and say, hey, you got a problem.
Okay.
Did you know?
Usually the problems, what kind of issues come up for you guys?
Honestly?
Yeah.
99% of the time it's internet.
Okay.
The internet's gone down, right?
Yeah.
So it stops reporting.
Yeah.
So it sends us a message.
Yeah.
That's pretty much, it is the number one.
It really runs on its own, very little maintenance, very little after sales service needed, really. Amazing.
Very, very much so. I mean, other problems would maybe a breaker switch has
Sure,
flicked on.
minor
off.
stuff.
Maybe there's been a brownout and it's shut itself down and shut itself back on. So
Benefits for users. How much does this really save people? Let's say if you have a home system,
Yep.
what are we looking at?
Well, if in simple terms, if you're paying 12 pesos per kilowatt, and if you install 10 kilowatts, it is going to save you, I don't have a calculator, but 1 kilowatt will generate with our systems about 1,450 kilowatts a year, kilowatt hours a year. Okay.
Substantial savings,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So times that by 12, that's for 1 kilowatt. So if you times that by 12 by 10, then you get your savings for the year.
Yes.
I mean, I can use my house if you like as an example. So my bill was 12,000 pesos a month because my children like aircon.
So it's several units running in
we
the
ran
evenings.
three units, three
Okay.
aircon units, mostly nighttime. So what we've done is we've put a small solar system. It's about 3.5 kilowatts
Yes.
at a cost of about 350,000 pesos. We changed our billing to what they call peak off peak,
Okay.
POP, peak off peak. So we get cheaper. Now we get cheaper electricity at night, more expensive electricity during the day.
Okay, because that's when it offsets. Your power is offset by
Yeah.
your solar system.
Yeah, so my daytime needs are all accounted for by solar, and I export some, for which I get credit. And my nighttime usage, which is when I use the air cons,
Yep.
is cheaper.
Yep.
So my bill went from 12,000 pesos to 5,000 pesos.
So a slash of over 50%.
Yeah,
That's huge, huh?
yeah.
So if you're a business owner, and just going by that example,
Right.
you can have tremendous savings really on your utilities.
You can. I mean, obviously, businesses, there are different elements, there are different factors. They may not necessarily be paying 12 pesos for their electricity. They might have better rates because they're large consumers. Every client, we go through a discovery process with them. So we say, right, what's your bill? How much are you consuming? When do you consume it? And we work together with them to make a plan and say, this is, this is what you can do, this is what it will save you, and we generate a financial analysis for them to show what the benefits would be financially,
Yes.
apart from anything else.
Are majority of your clients commercial or residential, private users?
We started out doing mostly residential.
Okay.
Now we're doing mostly commercial, but it's small, medium commercial, if you like. So anywhere from 20 kilowatts through till what we call a megawatt, 1,000 kilowatts.
Do you see this product picking up with residential users, private users?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Do you notice it increasing?
Yeah, we get a lot of inquiries for residential.
Yes.
Unfortunately, many of them are really too small for us to be able to cope with because, as I say, we're not a big company, and we don't have nationwide coverage. So, we try and help those that we can help.
Yeah.
But small
because-
systems are challenging.
Yeah. You mentioned, and your system is typical household, or two, three air conditioners,
Yep.
refrigerators, the basic appliances you have in a house, and you threw out a number, 350,000. Now,
Yep.
would you say that your company is more expensive because you use all these quality products, German/European made components, that you are actually more expensive than others perhaps on the market who rely primarily on
Yeah.
Chinese made components?
Not always. Most often, yes. But we very much see that as being part of our message, which is, we're not providing the cheapest product here. What we aim to do is provide the best value for money.
Yes.
Value for money and price are two completely different things.
Absolutely.
So if I were to say to you, I can get you a solar system at 10 or 15% more than it would cost for, shall we say, a lesser quality system. Okay, we'll say you said it than a China system. Then you might well be interested in that.
Okay, 350,000 for a household, and this is 3.5 kilowatts,
Yep.
right? What is the return on investment? Because when you throw that number out there, a lot of people will get put off and say, it's okay, I'll just put up with my Meralco bill. It's a bit high, but so what? I don't have to pay a big sum right away. So
Right,
what is the
well,
ROI?
Well, just on the simple numbers I gave you, it's saving me 84,000 pesos a year. So you divide 35 by 84, and I think you come up with a number of about 5 years, is it? Most of our systems, when we look at them, the savings that you make on electricity will pay for the system itself in 5 years. What that means is effectively you've got 25 years worth of free electricity.
Definitely. So, and 5-year ROI, and then the longevity of the system is 20, 30 years,
Yeah.
2-3 decades. So you make, as you said, you reap the benefits many times over
Yeah.
after that 5 years is done.
Yeah.
Yes.
You can look at it in two ways. We kind of like to look at it in a slightly different way because a lot of, particularly businesses, are very interested in ROI and IRR and all these kind of metrics that measure what value it provides to them. And of course, a 20% return on your investment is a very good return on your investment. Let's not say it's not. That's. I spent my life trying to make 10% a year for people in the investment world, so 20% is a good return. But if you actually want to take the cost of the system, estimate how much energy it's going to generate over the lifetime of that system. We use 25 years because it's a fair assumption. It's guaranteed for 25 years. And then divide it by the cost. It comes down to clients will be paying something like 3 pesos per kilowatt for their electricity.
Wow.
So if they're paying 12 pesos per kilowatt today,
It's a fraction.
and they're paying 3 pesos per kilowatt, what's the price going to be in 25 years? At 4% inflation, 12 pesos per kilowatt today at 4% inflation is about 35 pesos per kilowatt in year 20. So then you're still only paying 3 pesos.
Yes.
It's a different way of looking at it.
Yes.
So yes, it's a long-term investment, but if I came and knocked on your door today and I said, I'm going to sell you electricity for the next 25 years for 3 pesos per kilowatt, you'd say yes, right?
Where do I sign up? Okay, very good, Chris. When we come back, Chris, we'll talk about, because we have paused for a break, we'll talk about why today, or right now, is a good time to invest in this,
Sure.
and where the technology is at present, and what can we expect from this tech and perhaps other techs
Right.
in the industry moving forward.
Sure.
So guys, more of Let's Talk Solar Power with Chris Hutchings of Solarian Renewable Energy Services when Global Village returns.
We decided to work with Solrun for our solar power. They have a very competent, experienced team of installers. The equipment from Solrun is of high quality, it's very reliable. They have very high level of competence. Their customer service is exceptional. If you're considering putting solar panel, which I would recommend to anybody, don't need to look any further than SolarN for doing it.
Welcome back to Global Village. I'm Buddy Kunana, and tonight's topic is Let's Talk Solar Power, together with Chris Hutchings, Sales Director for Solarian Renewable Energy Solutions. Chris, welcome back to our third and final segment. We ended the second segment talking about private investment for one's own use in one's home for
Yep.
using solar power. And let me ask you this question, which a lot of consumers ask themselves. You know, we as consumers keep hearing about the advances in solar tech. We're seeing how the price is coming down. New technology is always being developed or talked about on the internet. And so perhaps this is also something holding people back from investing now. They're thinking, maybe I should wait another year or two for when this technology becomes fully matured, and then the price comes down and then it becomes more efficient, perhaps.
Right. So I don't want to save money now. I just want to wait.
For a better product,
Yes. I get it. I mean,
potentially.
I think the answer is, when it comes to the solar modules themselves and the inverters themselves, there may be some further advances. There may be some further efficiencies to be enjoyed, but you know, they've been evolving for getting on for 100 years now. The technology is not a new technology, so any improvements from this point in efficiency in terms of getting 60 solar cells in a 60 cell solar panel won't be, you know, a step change in what you're able to achieve. So that's one thing to consider. Prices now have got to a point where they are so keen that it's difficult to see them tumbling off another cliff. Where the next step down for prices on solar modules is going to come from, I just don't think there's going to be one.
Yeah.
You know, not as significant, not as substantial as we've
As
seen
the last 5-10
in
years.
the last 18 months.
Yeah.
You
Oh,
know,
18 months. Okay.
Oh, they're huge in 18
Yeah.
months.
Okay.
And that's partly an issue of perhaps too much production capacity in China. So they're just
So it could be like a supply issue.
creating
Yeah.
and creating and generating
Yeah.
and making modules, and they're running out of projects.
Yeah.
in
So it
country.
really is a supply, because there's too much supply.
Oversupply.
Yeah, oversupply. But in terms of price coming down, because you say you've reached a certain technological economies of scale, so to speak,
Yeah.
and you think, in your opinion, it's kind of plateaued already. You don't expect big reductions moving
Yeah, it's
forward.
whether or not it's plateaued or whether or not they're going to be small reductions from here, but yes, of course it could happen. It could happen the other way. I mean, I don't think you're going to see the commodity prices reducing.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
from this point, if your raw materials are not going to go down in price,
Yeah.
and you've reached a point of price competition where you've basically cut every last cent you can from what you're trying to achieve, I don't know exactly where big price
Yeah.
drops are going to come from.
Yeah, because I mean, I mentioned 5 to 10 years when you said price drop, because that really was when I think China made this impact on the market.
Yeah.
I mean, in a big way. So people kind of sat up and said, hey, I mean, solar power looks like could finally, even I could afford it.
Yeah, yeah, and that's right. And I think it is very affordable today when you think about it. If it does pay for itself in 5 years, which we know it does, and we can document that, then it's worthy of consideration.
Very good. Okay, another consumer-related issue in the Philippines, brownouts or blackouts. Okay, I don't know why they call it brownouts still, but it should be blackout, but brownout for the Philippine setting. What can we use as a solution to that from your company?
Well, I mean, what we do as a company generally is, if you're connected to the grid, we suggest that you have what's called a grid-tied solar system, no batteries, no storage, because most of our clients have relatively stable grid power, don't have very many brownouts, and it is very much cheaper to do it that way. The unfortunate fact is that if there is a brownout, due to safety issues, your solar system can't be used. So it may be generating power, but because it's set up in such a way that it will export energy to the grid, which you get credit for,
Sure.
you don't want a line engineer working on the line during a brownout that he thinks is not energized.
Because you're
that
putting
then
power
has
in
power
back in
being
the
put
grid.
back into the line. So by law, there's an automatic cut-off, and the solar system shuts down completely until such time as the grid power is restored.
Yeah.
If clients want to have coverage during brownouts, then
Short of buying a generator, like a diesel or a
Short of buying a
petrol-powered
generator.
generator, yeah.
then you can achieve it. It just becomes more expensive, and substantially more expensive. I mean, it really depends. Again, what you want to achieve, how much you want to spend, and is it worth spending that much money to achieve 2 hours worth of aircon whilst the grid's gone down for 2 hours?
Which doesn't happen quite often. I mean,
Not too often in our
Yes,
catchment area. I mean,
yes.
we're mostly dealing with clients in Luzon, so
yes.
mostly they got pretty stable power.
How about in communities or business establishments that are far flung and they
Yep.
need power and they're for whatever reason they can't connect to the grid?
Yeah,
Do you help in
different
that sense?
different scenario, and quite an interesting one. Just take a step back, sorry, to the residences, and if you wanted to have storage, you can do it, as I say, and it can provide you with coverage. You can either have a hybrid system,
Sure.
which is still connected to the grid but can still operate during a brownout, but they're very tricky and they have software issues that need to be that need to learn the energy consumption patterns, and they're prone to sort of falling over themselves. They're trying to be too clever sometimes, maybe.
Sure.
But it certainly can be done. So I'm not saying it can't be done. It's just, is it worth it?
It's just, as you said, it's just expensive and
Yeah.
maybe impractical
Yeah.
for most. And the reason I brought up that thing about the communities is because I wanted to talk about the battery,
Yeah.
the battery issue,
Sure.
and which I think, and I've been following this issue for a while, and I think that is one of the holy grails of the solar industry. If you guys, if the industry comes up with a battery that's efficient, that's small, that's inexpensive, then I think, wow, this is where you're going to be seeing heaps of people getting off grid.
Yeah, absolutely. Where is it? Where's the guy?
I'm still looking for him.
I want to buy from him now.
I'm still looking for him.
But yeah, I mean that will be that's probably going to be the most exciting development when or if
yeah.
it happens. I mean, we all hope it happens, because then it's a sea change in what you can achieve. Even moving into the realms of utility power, because the problem with solar power is for utilities is it can't provide any power at night time.
Yes.
And so they need to have an absolutely secure amount of power at any given time. In case someone there's a demand, they have to be able to supply it. And they can't just turn off a coal-fired generation plant, you know, in the hope that no one's going to need electricity tonight. So if you've got utility scale storage, that will be a game changer. For remote locations, it's interesting you mentioned it actually, because we are now just in the early stages of talking to a number of remote communities that are currently have their own barangay power association, but their power is provided by diesel gensets, quite old diesel gensets.
Wow.
And they're paying north of 30 pesos per kilowatt.
Wow, yeah. And aside from the inefficiency and the pollution it obviously creates, huh?
And not surprisingly, there's not very much demand for electricity at that rate. So it's a very limited exercise for the Barangay Power Association. Now, we're talking about going in there and working with them to add an element of solar power. We might be able to add an element of wind power if the demand is sufficient to justify it, and work that together with batteries and with the existing generator set or a new generator set to provide, if you like, a blended power solution.
Like a hybrid solution.
A hybrid solution, but very much cheaper than what's currently available. And the same thing would be possible for resort locations, island communities that are completely off grid. I mean, there are a myriad of opportunities there.
Yes.
And you know, I think there is an increasing will by the government to help these remote locations.
Chris, from what you're seeing, how soon or how far off would that dream of really being off grid in an economically feasible way would you say the industry is in now? I mean, from what you're seeing, from how advances in battery technology and efficiency and inverters and all that, how far are we?
If I had a magic wand and you know, I could or a crystal ball and I could see the future, I could answer that with a bit more clarity than I can. Maybe 5 years, maybe 2 years, maybe 10 years. It really is that difficult.
Yes.
The problem with batteries themselves, right now, the most affordable technology is lead-acid batteries, which are bulky and which have a short lifespan. Now, the reason we're advising clients not to invest in batteries today is exactly for the reason that you mentioned, is because maybe 2 or 3 years down the line, the prices on batteries are going to have fallen in a similar way to the prices of solar modules. I'm not sure it's likely because
Very good point.
because the raw materials involved are quite expensive. If you want to go for lithium ion,
Yes,
for
yes.
example, the raw materials are quite expensive. So how much cheaper they can get, we don't know. But wait a couple of years is our advice. Why don't you wait 2 years, see if the price of batteries come down?
Interesting point. Invest now in a solar system, so you already reap the benefits of savings and all that, offsetting your bill, your power usage and all that, and wait a few years to invest in batteries. Anyway, the solar system, as you said, your solar system made in Germany, German made, 20, 30 years.
Yep, very easy to retrofit, very easy to add.
Sounds good.
So, you know, at that point, when it becomes financially viable, commercially viable, you can say, right, you know, I can now double the size of my system. I can add storage.
Very good.
And, you know, I can
Good point.
tell
Good point.
Meralco that I don't wish to purchase their product anymore.
I think you just answered my own personal question why I'm why I should invest in a solar system for my own home today. Chris, we've come to the end of the show. It goes by very fast when we talk about a topic like this. Would you like to say something to the audience? Maybe your contact details of Solarin in case anyone's interested to make an investment? I mean, I know I am.
Sure. Yeah, you can reach us at www.solarenpower.com. Do you want my telephone number?
By all means.
If you need to talk to me, you can get me on 0917 622 0897. I even forget my own telephone number sometimes.
Okay. Bravo, Chris. And to Neil, congratulations on a very fantastic, very dynamic company. And I'm sure you guys are going to do wonderful things for the communities in the Philippines and for consumers like me who are really, wanting to find solutions to the highest energy electricity rates we have currently suffering from here in Asia.
Yep.
So congratulations.
And you should be buying solar for your house now.
Will do. Will do, sir. So
Right,
guys,
thank you.
I hope you enjoyed tonight's show on solar power. A good choice for everyone. Let's cut our solar bills, help reduce fossil fuels, all that. Join us next week here on Global Village and let us take you around the world. Till then, you all have a good evening, folks.